Good morning. What is going on Capitol Hill? My friends, drama, a lot of it. But today's video will talk about two things. We talk about waivers and we will talk about the current status of the immigration bill. Basically, what is going on Capitol Hill and what are they planning for us? We need to know. Okay, let's get right into it. Bijoux Ngwanda here, immigration lawyer in the DC metropolitan area. If you're new to my channel, please go ahead and subscribe. If you're not new, welcome back. Thank you for subscribing, and please don't forget to hit the notification bell so you don't miss anything. And please go ahead and comment, share, and like. Waivers. In order to adjust status in the U.S. or to apply for a visa, a U.S. visa, you must be found admissible. Basically, you have to be admissible to the U.S. But certain people have found themselves inadmissible on certain ground. So either they are barred from entering the U.S. or they cannot adjust their status while they reside in the U.S. because of certain things that have happened in the past. Those are the people that we are trying to help in today's video, giving them some clue on what to do. Okay, let's start with the ground of inadmissibility. How did you find yourself inadmissible, or how did you find yourself barred from entering the U.S. or barred from reapplying? Basically, it happened with unlawful presence. You're unlawful here, and now you cannot adjust your status. In order to adjust the status based on cancellation of removal, or basically in order to apply for cancellation of removal, you have to file a waiver first. And then general waivers for non-immigrant visa, health-related waiver. Basically, you might be barred from entering the U.S. based on certain type of diseases. Okay, misrepresentation, fraud, so crimes, felony crimes, or a lot of misdemeanors can in fact bar you from adjusting your status or entering the U.S. So that's why we have those two waivers, those main waivers. Remember that certain people will apply with basically with 601 or 601A. In addition to it, with another waiver, 212. But today's video, we're only going to address two waivers, okay? 601, the hardship waiver, and then 601A, the provisional waiver. Let's start with 601A. 601A, first, you must be present in the U.S. in order to apply for that, because this is just waiving your temporary unlawful presence. For example, let's say you are a student on a student visa, and now your student visa has expired, and you want to change the status to a different status, but in the meantime you did not do anything, so you remain unlawful in the U.S. You must first file for 601A in order to waive that temporary unlawful presence and then be able to adjust your status. And this form 601A is the only form that cannot be accompanied with another form. So you can't file 601A and a different form together. That's really strict. It has to be the only thing that you are filing first, because this one, remember, you just want to waive your unlawful presence, that temporary unlawful presence. And I really gave you the specific example, like with a student visa, for instance. But the main thing, the main waiver that most people use is the 601. That's the hardship waiver. You have to prove hardship in order for them to be able to actually grant you that waiver. This can be applied whether you're outside or inside of the U.S. But however, you can also apply with a different form with that 601 waiver, but you have to really prove hardship. And hardship can be proven, the way they look at it, they have a lot of factors they will determine. So you don't have to meet all those factors, but I'm just going to go ahead and cite those factors and explain it and explain them to you so that you will know what type of factors they are looking for when you are applying for a waiver. Remember, waiver is a very challenging application, and if you really need help with it, you have to call your lawyer. If you don't have one, please contact my office. Phone number is 202-751-2180. Is going to stay on the screen, and this is my new number. Of course, I said that I was going to change the number. Okay, just wanted to give the number right there. So let's get to those factors. It says factors that USCIS considers when determining extreme hardship include but are not limited to this. Health. For example, with health, the example is let me give you a specific example. Let's say that you cannot adjust your status, you are barred from entering the US. Let's say you have been order removed as well. Things happened and you have this 10 years or 3 years bar, but you have a child or a parent or a spouse qualified person, which means they're either a US citizen or a lawful permanent resident, and they are immediate relative to you. That's why I'm citing spouse, child, or parents. First category. And one of them is really sick and you are the one who need to take care of them. And there's nobody else who can do that. And that can qualify as long as you can have a medical or a professional, let's say medical records from that person, a professional who will write and say that this person is sick and this is the type of the disease that the person has, and they need care for a certain period of time. And you can apply based on that. That's the health sector, okay? And then they look at financial consideration as well. For example, if you go, let's say you are here, you have been order removed and you don't want to go home and you want to apply for cancellation of removal, and you have to file a waiver first. That's how it goes with cancellation of removal. So you can show that if you go home, financially you will be damaged. You can show that too, as far as let's say you were actually working here and getting pay and stuff like that. You can show your income, and they can compare it with the income that you will have back home and the lifestyle that you have maintained here. That can work as well. Education, let's say the time that you stayed here, you were studying, you went to school, you got an education. You can show that, like with my education. Or let's say you were planning to get an education, and you can say that if I go home, or if you prevent me from entering here, this is the opportunity that I will lose. Higher education, quality of life, all those things I will lose. You can show that too. You can show special factors, especially for people who apply for asylum and their asylum got denied, and now they want to apply for cancellation of removal. They can just use the same thing that they use on their asylum case, like fear of persecution. That's why I don't want to go back home, because of fear of persecution. And that's a major one as well. And then you have, you can add additional stuff to it, like expert opinion, showing the conditions of the country, and a lot of things, like pretty much all that you can show. And the instruction form on the USCIS website is very clear and really guiding you on how you can come up with a compelling argument and a compelling statement as far as applying for waivers. Because if you have to adjust your status and you have been found inadmissible, the only way for you to be able to adjust your status is by applying for a waiver. And this is the right time to apply for a waiver as well, because of the Biden administration. They are doing a lot of policy changes, and some of them are already in effect. As for example, they revert back to the 2008 civic test. And for example, the public charge who went to the Supreme Court, we're still waiting for the final ruling. And for example, those waivers too, they are reviewing it too. So this is the time, if you have to apply for the waiver, this is a good time, really. This is the time to apply for a waiver so that you can be found admissible and you can change your status. Okay, we have covered that, but now let's go to the drama. What is going on Capitol Hill, my friend? What is going on with this Biden immigration reform? The way I'm seeing it, the Democrats have pretty much, they know that the Biden immigration proposal will not pass, and they have come up with a solution. Next week, the week of March 15, what are they going to do? They are going to actually introduce two bills, and they are going to vote for those bills in the House. Remember that they have to come up with something by April 1st, and the latest will be April 15, that something has to pass in both Houses and Senate. So that's why they came up with this solution. They said they're gonna come up only with two bills. The first one is the Farm Workforce Modernization Act, okay? And the second one is the American Dream and Promise Act. So with the Farm Workforce Modernization Act, that's specific to agriculture workers, people in the agriculture industry department. If you have performed some type of agriculture labor, okay, and they're very specific, what are you going to get? You're going to get a certified agriculture worker card. That's what you're going to get. And that card is going to be considered like a legal status, legal presence, okay? Lawful presence, of course. It's going to be valid for 5.5 years, and your dependent can change the status too and get the status as well from you, let's say your wife and your children. But you have to have performed at least 1,035 hours of agriculture labor during 2 years period prior to November 12, 2019. And then since then you have been continuously present in the United States from that date until you receive your certified agriculture worker status. That's it for agriculture. That's for Farm Workforce Modernization Act. That's the one that are going to be voting for next week in the House. Then we have the American Dream and the Promise Act. This is different. It's not the one that we've been talking about. This one they're talking about, they are going to give conditional permanent residence status for 10 years to people. Remember, the Dream Act has people who were brought to the U.S. prior to 18, and then we have DACA recipient. So for people who have been brought to the U.S. illegally prior to turning 18, they are going to get a 10 years conditional green card. After 10 years, that's when you'll be able to renew it, okay? And then for DACA recipient, if your DACA is valid, or if you are not disqualified for renewal, that's when you will be able to apply directly for a green card. That's very specific. It's not the one we've been talking about, okay? So, and that's it. And then the Promise Act, we know for TPS holder, I believe they're gonna get again it's gonna be the same as DACA. If you have a TPS that's not disqualified for renew, you're gonna apply directly for the the green card. But if it's disqualified for renewal, then you're gonna get the 10 years conditional resident status. Okay, that's it. So basically that's what's going on, and that's what they are going to vote for next week. The week of, I guess next week is the week of March 15th, I believe. But anyway, they are going to vote for it next week. My friend, we've been talking about breaking this thing into pieces because we know from the beginning that this Biden huge plan is really difficult to pass in the current political climate. Okay, that's why they're trying to give a solution, at least to certain people. Let's say your daughter is a DACA recipient, or your son is a DACA recipient, and they are both 21, and you are undocumented. If they get this green card, they can apply for you, right? You can adjust under them. So basically, they're going to become your citizen, and they can petition for you. That's another way to look at it. Or you can marry somebody who has a green card under DACA, and you can adjust your status as well. That's another way to look at it as well. So that's it. That's what they're doing, and that's what they are saying. So pretty much so, we think that next week, in conclusion, what I personally think is that they are going to pass something. It's not going to be the overall immigration reform that we have been hoping for, but something is going to be passed by April 15, and it's going to give a solution to some individual. Still better than no solution to anybody. So I am for a solution opposed to no solution at all. So let's support this and let's see how it leads us. And then, my friends, if you want to apply for a waiver, do not hesitate to email me or call my office, 202-751-2180. Until next time, bye-bye.